Hello beautiful people, it's Mai here from Nintendo Life, and today we're reviewing Lies of P Complete Edition on the Nintendo Switch 2. This review was originally written by the stupendous Ollie Reynolds and made into a video by yours truly. Now without further ado, let's get stuck in. Developers NeoWiz and Round 8 Studio get it. I mean, they really get it. We've played plenty of Souls-like games in our time, titles like Nioh, Lords of the Fallen and Surge that pay homage to From Software games that never fully understand what makes them tick. Lies of P Complete Edition is different. The game launched on other platforms in 2023, and this is as good as anything From Software has made in the past, providing an immersive world in which to get lost, endless layers of depth, and a host of enemies and boss characters that want nothing more than to see you 6 feet under. Oh, it's glorious. Taking place within the city of Krat, a devastating event known as the Puppet Frenzy has caused puppets to revolt against humans and cause a city-wide massacre. You play as P, a puppet with remarkably human traits who can lie and fight through multiple unique environments to resolve the city's plight. If you've played the likes of Dark Souls or Bloodborne, then the way in which Lies of P delivers its story will feel familiar. Very little is outright spelled out to you, and you'll have to discover much of the narrative yourself by way of documents, statues, and optional characters. That said, it never feels quite as abstract as its inspiration, and you can often gain valuable insight into the world through character interactions at the main hub area, Hotel Krat. There's a nice balance to the story then. If you want to really dig into the nitty-gritty, you'll have to put in the work and scour every inch of the environment. But really, you'll receive ample context if you simply read what you find along the way and talk to NPCs like Geppetto, Sophia, and your constant companion, Jiminy. Fail to do any of this, then yeah, you'll find yourself feeling quite lost. This balance also makes its way into the core gameplay. Make no mistake, Lies of P is a challenging experience, but it rarely feels quite as punishing as some of the other games in the genre. For starters, you've got 3 difficulties to choose from, the highest of which will provide that classic rock-solid experience, while the 2 lower options provide some respite with much weaker enemies. Even if you go for the highest option, there are plenty of ways to turn the tide in your favour during combat. Leveling up is crucial, which is accomplished by spending ergo, obtained from enemies and throughout the environment. You can also use grindstones to imbue your weapon with elemental power, upgrade key abilities with rare quartz, and equip multiple stat boosting items. One of the coolest features, however, is the ability to combine and enhance weapon blades and handles independently. So let's say you've picked up a rather ferocious looking bone-cutting saw blade, but you're not keen on how heavy and slow it is. You can dismantle it and attach the saw blade itself to the lightweight puppet saber handle, making it much more manageable to wield at speed. We're barely scratching the surface with this example, and the options available as you obtain more weapons are staggering. It really encourages you to experiment and find which one works best for you in a way that we've frankly never seen in a Souls-like. Forgive the obvious comparison, but it's similar to how Zelda Breath of the Wild pushes you into trying new things with its weapon degradation system. In addition, you also have access to the Legion Arm, which is basically P's version of the Devil Breaker from Devil May Cry 5, giving you access to unique abilities depending on which one you've equipped. So you have one that lets you pull enemies toward you, another that shoots out flames, and even one that spreads out acid across the ground, potentially damaging multiple foes at once. Just like your regular weapons, you can level up your Legion Arm at the relevant vendor in Hotel Krat, but you'll need rare items to do so. It's worth investing the time to improve it, however, as we've lost count of the number of occasions it saved our skin in the middle of a brawl. But of course, the real meat of the combat lies in your ability to balance offense and defense effectively. Lies of P sits somewhere in the middle of Dark Souls and Bloodborne in how it approaches this. You can block attacks, but you'll still take some damage doing doing so, opening up a small window of opportunity to counterattack and regain your lost health. Only by executing a perfect block at the exact moment enemy attacks land, indicated by a dazzling flash of red from the clash of blades, can you completely nullify any damage. It's not easy to achieve at the best of times, and when you're up against enemies that come at you with ludicrous combat attacks, sometimes your best tactic might be to either roll out the way or just take the heat and hope you can regain some health with a counter. Seriously, screw the mad clown puppet. The bosses in general are truly magnificent, even if many of them had us tearing our hair out at multiple times. Not one design felt boring or generic, and defeating them delivered an unmatched sense of accomplishment and satisfaction, especially when you venture into the game's Overture DLC, included as standard in the Switch 2 port. Of course, if you're really struggling, you can call upon a Spectre to help you out, and the game is actually quite generous in dishing out star fragments required to do so. The city of Krat makes all the hardship worth it though. Exploring the various biomes from dirty, swamp-like areas to the rundown entertainment districts is a true joy. Just like the very best Souls-like, spending hours weaving your way through complex, maze-like streets only to find you've discovered one of many shortcuts back to an earlier area is exhilarating, and a true showcase of the studio's talents in creating this world. This superb design extends to the music too. While most of your journey will be shrouded in silence, boss encounters are accompanied by suitably grand, daunting orchestral scores to really nail the sense of danger and urgency. On the flip side, the first time we entered Hotel Krat, we stayed there for way longer than necessary thanks to the gorgeous theme. Equal parts calming and haunting, it nestled its way into our minds long after we put the controller down. On Switch 2, you've got a few different performance modes to choose from. Handheld comes with performance and quality, while docked has performance, balanced, and quality. So really, it comes down to how much you value high frames. Even in performance mode, we can't say for sure whether the game stays at a constant 60 FPS all the time. It certainly doesn't in handheld, but it remains acceptably stable and playable throughout. What we will say is that while balanced and quality modes in docked are both acceptable, we wouldn't recommend playing quality mode in handheld. It's pretty rough. It's also worth noting that a day one patch will be available at launch that should improve performance mode in handheld even further, so that's something to keep an eye out for. We absolutely adore Lies of P. We foolishly ignored it back in 2023 because we thought it would just be yet another Dark Souls clone. But while it certainly borrows heavily from Software's catalogue, it does more than enough to stand on its own 2 feet with exceptional world design, awesome boss characters, and a wonderfully customizable weapon system. Performance isn't perfect on Switch 2, and we wouldn't recommend playing in quality mode, but experiencing Lies of P on the go has been an absolute blast. From Software better watch its back. There's a new player in town, and it's gunning for the Souls-like crown. We here at Nintendo Life give Lies of P Complete Edition on the Nintendo Switch 2 a 9 out of 10. And now I suppose it's time for my thought. I am so excited to talk about Lies of P. So I semi-ignored Lies of P back when it came out in 2023. I played a little bit of it, mostly the opening station and the kind of demo tutorial part. I played that on Game Pass and I really enjoyed it. And then I didn't have Game Pass anymore, so I had no way of playing it. But my God, playing this on the Switch 2 has been an absolute treat. I must admit, I was a bit pants to begin with because I'm not really a massive Souls-like connoisseur, basically saying I have not found my perfect one. Aside from Bloodborne, I absolutely loved Bloodborne back in the day. Lies of P has scratched that itch for me. I know it's crazy. I'm getting goosebumps even thinking about it right now, but I properly got in the flow of Lies of P. I loved the combat system. I love being able to customize and mix and match my weapons and just work on different builds. I must admit, I did start a couple of saves where I was trying different builds, one based on advance, one based on motivity, and then one based on technique, just to kind of try a few different things. I have a feeling that Lies of P is going to continue to be my obsession well after making this video, and it's just so nice to be able to say that I have a Souls game that I have completed and it's ticked off the list and I'm ready to play New Game Plus One. So excited. I also feel like the Switch version is kind of the ultimate version of Lies of P. Yes, you get the DLC, but in the original game, you only have one difficulty. This has a accessibility feature, which is all in one package, because in Overture, that's where they add the extra, easier difficulties. I mean, sadly, those on other platforms just playing the base game, you're gonna have to play in one difficulty, which isn't too bad. I'm gonna be putting up the difficulty again, I think, because I've played the middle difficulty for most of my playthrough, but I'm feeling like in some areas it's a little bit too easy, so we'll see. I'm gonna mix and match. I've played a little bit in the Stalker difficulty, which is the highest difficulty in another playthrough, and oh, it's good fun. I think another thing that really made me immerse myself into this world and into the stories, because I am familiar with the story of Pinocchio, mostly from Disney, hey ho, but I am also very aware of the actual book written as well. It's a little bit different to Walt Disney's version, but I really love the fact that in Lies of P, they've definitely made it much darker. I think another thing as well that's really made me appreciate Lies of P so much is that, yes, whenever I play a game, I do try and get better. With this one, I was determined to challenge myself. I was determined to look up all like the tutorials and best way to make best stat builds and just kind of try and experiment as well for myself, even before looking at those kind of guides and whatnot. It's definitely a game that I'm going to hold close to my heart. And if I'm honest, it might be one of my games of the year. Spoiler, it might be. I really adore Lies of P, and I'm going to say this 100%. I'm going to be buying it physical. And for those interested in buying it physical, you'd be happy to know that it is not going to be a game key card. It's going to be game on cartridge, which is music to my ears. Now, if you don't mind, Jiminy's calling, and I've got some frenzied puppets to go and beat to a bloody pulp.